Okay, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we have another cool review for you from the brand Uncle Seiko. So this isn't a watch review. This is actually a really cool bracelet review. Now Uncle Seiko, basically they make straps and bracelets, and they're pretty much made that were made super popular by the Seiko mod community, and now they've even expanded into making straps and bracelets for all types of watches that aren't even necessarily Seiko related. This particular bracelet isn't even meant to be put on this Seiko watch. It's actually made for the Omega Speedmaster. This is their flat link bracelet. And this one is the 20mm variant, which only required a little bit of massaging when it comes to kind of those lower tabs to really make this thing fit on there pretty nicely. And I think the nice thing here is that it gives this new DressKX or SKXplorer, it gives it a nice little dressy kind of retro vibe. The flat link polish, it really catches the eye, as you guys will notice once I get it in hand and roll it around on the wrist a little bit. But as you can see here, it just adds I mean, although the case itself is quite round and bulbous, I think adding this nice little taper, kind of more delicate vintage looking bracelet actually gives it a little bit of pop and a little bit of visual interest. I don't know how long I'm going to keep it on here, guys. It's such a cool bracelet. I actually want to try it on a couple other watches as well. But as far as on this little Seiko 5 Sports model, I think it looks really cool and is kind of a fun little option, guys, especially on this model, which came with a factory bracelet, meaning that the bezel is actually polished. So I think it ties in nicely with kind of the brushed and polished look. And it's also not your typical brushed and polished because it's reversed. You're getting polished down the center link, polished down the outer links and brushed down the center link, which is a nice and kind of different change of pace. So with all that said, let's actually go ahead and take a closer look. All right, guys, check out the light game this thing plays. Look at that. Look at that. Woo. That is a good looking bracelet. These flat links are actually really in style right now. You'll see a lot of different watches sporting these, from micro brands all the way to, of course, some of the more mainstream high-end luxury brands as well. There's just something about the way that they play with the light. It's just a great look. I love the high contrast here from the flat polish on the brushing, which really adds a nice kind of opaqueness there versus the highly reflective polish. So you're getting a nice little play, you're getting a lot of contrast, and it's giving you something a little bit different. And obviously, look at how thin this thing is, guys. So you know this is gonna wear like a dream, but that might be a problem for some people. Yes, it's a stamped clasp, stamped folding mechanism, hollow end links, but it's those hollow end links that enable it to even fit on this watch. So this is definitely something for the vintage connoisseur, or at least somebody who can appreciate that side of it, that isn't just going to go, if it's, you know, if it's hollow, it's a no. If you're somebody like that, then this is going to be a no for you. But if you're somebody that, you know, is about, hey, well, how does it wear? How does it look? And, you know, how is that being achieved? And does it feel like quality? Yeah, this thing feels like quality. You know, if this was made 50 years ago, people would be like, damn, that's a great bracelet. But, you know, obviously by today's standards, where everything's milled out and solid and all that side of it, it's a little bit less impressive objectively, but subjectively, you can't get mad at the actual finishing on this and the construction. I gotta say, this is pretty nice, guys. The links are solid, although, you know, everything else is hollow, and they are just held in there by friction pins. And then, of course, this is an Omega style clasp, but instead of having Omega, there's a U there for Uncle Seiko. But yeah, this thing is great. I'm really digging it, and honestly, it just comes like basically a little bit tight. So you just open it up a little bit. So I guess if you say it like that, if this is the end link, you just go like that, and then it fits. So really nice. Obviously, it's not perfect. Maybe I could have played with it more to to try to get it to line up more with the lugs or anything. But ultimately, this is a more of a flat surface, and here you have a very round contoured surface. So it's not going to be a perfect match, and I think as it sits, it's just a great look. Look at the way the light is hitting the polished parts and just making them look dark, and then the way it's catching the brushed elements and making them light, and you're basically getting a two-tone watch without actually having two tones, without getting like gold versus steel. You're actually getting that contrast just from the finishing, which I think is really cool. So although the stats did fly across the screen, you got 20 millimeters, it tapers down to 16 millimeters. The overall length is 180 millimeters. The minimal after adjusted is 120 millimeters. And then basically everything is stamped 316L stainless steel. That's the clasp there, and then the thickness is about 3 millimeters. The weight itself is about 56 grams. We have, of course, the brushed and polished, and you can also get an all brushed model. And then the spring bar diameter is 1.8 millimeters, and then it uses, of course, for the adjustment type, you're using just push pins. And then the material is also 316L stainless steel, all solid links, which is nice. And then, of course, the end links are hollow. This is actually designed to fit the Speedmaster, the 20 millimeter variation, and then there's also another size option. This is the 20 millimeter though, and it's meant to fit the Speedmaster, and I'm sure it does very nicely, but with a little work it's fitting on this guy pretty nicely, which is great. Installation tip for me that I could give you guys is to get it to fit on that model. You just open the underside, and it's really easy. Basically, there's those retaining fingers that you see underneath the case. You got one finger, two finger, one on each side. You're basically, if you have some needle nose pliers, you'll just put it in your hand and you'll just go boom, and that'll just open it up. Go to the other side, boom, open it up, butt it in, and then kind of walk that that spring bar into place, and you got yourself a nice little addition that gives it such a different retro vibe to it. And the way the light plays is just outstanding. So let's actually get this piece on wrist for some wear impressions. All right, guys, check that out. So on my 7 1/4 inch wrist, this wears really well. And look at the wrap, look at the drape, look at the lighting. Look at the way it rolls and just plays. Yeah. That's some visual interest, you could say. So yeah, I just think it's a great look. Obviously, it's quite thin, so you have to be in the understanding and the appreciation of what that means. Some of you might put this on and be like, oh, this thing's super cheap. It is affordable at $89, but I wouldn't call it cheap. And I don't mean just in the price, I mean in the construction. It is well constructed. It works. It does everything that it's being asked to do, and it's excelling at it. Yeah, there are some choices as far as, hey, well, could it have been screw-in links? Could you have done this solid, that solid? But at the end of the day, guys, this isn't a $200, $300, $400, $500 option. This is an $89 option, and honestly, considering it's made for the Speedmaster, if you were to look for a similar bracelet that was actually made for the Speedmaster that wasn't made from Uncle Seiko, it would cost a lot more. And honestly, you could probably even get some new old stock bracelets similar to this for Omega, and it would cost through the damn roof, and it wouldn't actually be probably even as nice, to tell you the truth, because this, of course, is a modern bracelet made in modern times with modern production capabilities. So it is actually quite nice. Look at the way the light, guys. Can't get over that. Just really beautiful. Then depending on what angle you're at, this right here will give you a nice little gradation on that center link brushing. As it goes, then you turn at this angle, and now you're getting so much more glimmers and shimmers. So really, really cool from that standpoint. Gotta say, I'm enjoying it on the wrist. This thing wears like an absolute dream. But let's do some light transition and loom shots just so you can get a better idea of what this thing is gonna look like in less than optimal lighting. Alrighty, let's go ahead and hit the lights. Okay, as you can see, we got the dial loom, but you can't see the bracelet. So let me hit my little low light source option. Check that out, guys. what I like to do here is really give you guys an idea of how this watch is going to render in less than optimal lighting, and sometimes even in harsher lightings, high contrast, where it's going to really expose some of those imperfections, or just the transitional lighting, so you can see what this is going to look like when you're coming in and out of a building, out from underneath an overhang, so on and so forth. And also just looking at the way the light glides and plays off of these beautiful links there. You can see the way the brushing and the polishing, the way the light just rolls. So because these are flat, it plays in a different way. You can see the transitional little glimmer that happens. Really, really handsome. Look at that brushing, the way it just catches and holds the light while the reflection there just is completely blacked out. And then you can see slowly each link while it's coming into the angle, reflecting, just catches the light in a different way and sends it in a different direction. Very, very cool. So guys, not too much else to say on this. Great looking vintage style bracelet for under $100 that can be fitted to many different timepieces, to include your average everyday affordable Seiko 5. So let me know what you guys think. Did you like the look, the aesthetic? Is there another watch you think this would look great on? Fire away, guys. I will be probably trying it on a ton of different watches because I really like the way it looks. I think obviously it has more of a vintage aesthetic. Maybe I'll try to play into that with the next pairing that I do, but I gotta say, big props to Uncle Seiko for putting out products that people are affordable enough for people to play with and try out, and they're not those types of products where you're investing so much you just have to have it. You have to, like, this is okay for me to put into a drawer if I need to, if I'm not using it, and I can still put it out. It's not like one of those ones where you're spending a couple $100 or, you know, almost close to $200 on a bracelet, and it's just like you bought it specifically for something, you're gonna wear it, and you just like feel the need to, like, for it to always like check every box and make so much sense. Here you can just kind of have fun, kind of play around with things, and you know, I think that's awesome that Uncle Seiko offers that. So with all that said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked the video, please do a like, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.